Well,
Take it away.
welcome to the first ever Queen City Press podcast live show. So, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate you. Thanks to the Pitch for hosting. Shout out to Alex over here who is producing and put a lot of work in behind the scenes. So, there are a few specials. If you didn't see, I'll read those off real quick. $3 drink specials. So the Pabst Blue Ribbon, is that how you say that?
PBR.
Okay.
Real ones know.
You read off the specials. You really.
PBR, Stoop Days, a Jameson Mule, a Thin Mint, and the Luck of the Irish.
Yeah. So
lots of fun $3
last two
drinks.
sound like fun shots. So. So take advantage of those, and we'll have some fun. But for those of you that don't know us, I'm Laurel Tyler. I'm founded Queen City Press in 2020. But I've been covering the team since I've been covering FC Cincinnati. If you're not aware, you're here for an FC Cincinnati podcast. I've been covering the team since 2016. Well, really the off season before that. Previously covered for WCPO and The Athletic. And when those opportunities kind of dried up during the pandemic, I launched Queen City Press. So I've used Tyler here as a freelancer for me on the occasions that I have had to miss a game, and he's been awesome joining me on our new podcast this year. We launched our first public podcast, which you guys are listening to. If you're not here in the audience, we are recording this for our regular weekly show. So Tyler, why don't you tell everybody about yourself a little bit?
You teed it up really well. Just apart from the stuff you've been able to toss me over the years, I currently work for MLSsoccer.com and MLSnextPro.com doing all different types of content. Prior to that, I worked for SBI Soccer, where I did a little bit more FC Cincinnati stuff, but it's been a few years, and I just love the opportunity to talk FC Cincinnati, because I don't get to do that for work really ever, so this has been super fun. Appreciate you guys choosing to spend your evening here with us.
Yeah, so if you guys aren't aware, we are also on YouTube, so I'm going to give a quick shout out for that. If you can subscribe to our channel, it's YouTube. Even if you don't watch YouTube, I'm not a YouTube person normally, but any subscriptions that people subscribing, it helps get the feed out there for more people to see. So check that out, youtube.com, it's the @ Queen City Press. Yeah,
they find it. There's some publication in Charlotte that's kind of beating us on SEO, but we'll get there one day.
Yeah, well, I should have staked my flag sooner than 2020, I guess.
Yeah, but here we go. We've had a little time to recover from FC Cincinnati's regular season, just thanks to the international break. No games since March 22, that wild comeback from Montreal. And we'll just kind of start off the top, just clearing out those items. It's been international break. The transfer window closed. I don't know if you were expecting anything to happen, but
I kind of ignored it. I wasn't expecting anything, so.
Yeah, and then on international break, as far as FC Cincinnati goes, it's kind of been a bummer. Really nothing. Miles picks up a groin injury, so he's out of the USMNT camp. Roman got hurt before that, so we didn't go. Can you explain to me what happened to Teenage Hadebe this week?
Yeah, so Teenage, he was caught in a TikTok video apparently with a bottle of alcohol. So I'm sure that happens a lot, not on TikTok, but it's against his national team's code of conduct. So he is a captain for them. So he got suspended a game, so he did not play the last game of it was a Four Nations tournament. It was kind of a make-up tournament, made-up tournament that they did because there's no Africa Cup of Nations isn't for another 2 years, and then they're not going to the World Cup. Zimbabwe we're talking about. So they came up with this little tournament. So it was 2 friendlies basically. So he didn't play for the second one. Playing the second one. He didn't come back early though. He's the last one expected to arrive. So we'll buzz through all these other ones, but he's not expected to have any kind of punishment from FC Cincinnati. So shouldn't impact anything here, but the guys are all kind of trickling back. Most of them were expected back today if they're not already here, and then Teenage is expected back tomorrow. It's just a long travel day for anyone that goes over to Africa. It's 21 hours of travel that they end up, because there's 3 different connections. So That was a little disappointing for him, I'm sure, but.
It's young guy stuff. Who amongst us hasn't, you know?
Well, he's not a teenager.
Right. But apart from him,
haha.
Pavel Buka did not make the matchday roster for Czechia, but they did qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah.
That could be exciting for him.
That's huge. I mean, just him being in the camp, I would say, like, even though I know everyone was asking, like, well, why do they call him in if they're not even going to put him? He wasn't even in the match day rosters, but it's just him being there. I mean, his first call up for the senior team. I think he had been in some of the youth camps when he was younger, but just being able to be in the camp and him playing here in MLS, you know, I think it's kind of an advantage for some of these teams, especially if they end up having any like visa problems or if they have a guy that they know is already here and already familiar with the environment and the stadiums and everything. That could be a huge bonus. So they're playing down in Atlanta is where I believe, I can't remember who they're
where everything
yeah.
is right now.
So that, you know, he has a chance to make the World Cup roster, and I know that was a big deal for him just to even be considered for that.
Yeah. I guess this is good news for FC Cincinnati. This might be the best thing of the bunch, I guess. Kevin Dinke continuing to score goals. He scored a game winner in a 1-0 victory over Niger. Yeah. Was that part of the made-up tournaments, or was that a competitive game?
I think that was just a friendly.
Friendly. So
it's hard to keep track of the smaller events going on, but yeah, I believe those were just friendlies. So.
And that's the case for Guidi as well.
Well, Sammy Guidi was actually Slovakia's U22 team is trying to qualify. It's the UEFA Euro Championship qualifiers. So when those take place in 2027, he'll be aged out of that age group. So he's helping them qualify. Won't get to play with them, but they did win. I can't remember who they played. I didn't write that down. Sorry. But he actually was back already. They only played one game. It was Friday. And so he was back in training yesterday. And then again today I went. So he's back. And then, yeah, from there it's just like the young guys.
You got Dado, Andre, Adamar, all with various U.S. squads. Kind of lower stakes stuff, but.
Yeah, Adamar was back in training today. And then, yeah, like I said, everyone else was expected back today, but hopefully in training tomorrow, aside from teenage.
Yep. And so now to the preview portion. The mighty FC comes back to New York Red Bulls, who are 2-2-1 to start the season at 7 points, sitting in 8th. One spot ahead of FC Cincinnati in the East. Mixed bag of results to start it. What are your initial thoughts just on the matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Red Bulls, I feel like you just never know what to expect from them. It's just chaos sometimes with them. So, yeah, I mean, their last two games, or they lost 2 of their last 3 by a combined 9-1 score against Montreal and Charlotte, and then a 1-1 draw against Toronto in between. So, yeah, it's been, like you said, a mixed bag. And it's kind of a reset for them this past offseason. They had a club record 15-year MLS Cup playoff streak going, and that ended last season after they had made MLS Cup in 2024. So, I mean, you never know what to expect in MLS, but that kind of sparked a need for some change. So they hired U.S. soccer legend Michael Bradley as head coach, and then Canada soccer legend Julian de Guzman as their head of sport. And really just, I mean, it's a really young roster this year. A lot of the names that, you know, we all probably became familiar with over just the early years of Pat Noonan's time here when it seemed like we were playing Red Bulls all the time. A lot of those names are gone, and yeah, you're probably more familiar with Red Bulls than you kind of followed them a little bit more, it seemed.
Yeah, I got to do some stuff with their Next Pro side last year, where Bradley came in halfway through the year, took them to Next Pro Cup, and they've been really good about calling up their young players, which is, you know, they had that advantage, just that time advantage, you know, to like have that really well oiled and ready to hit the button. And then I think that playoff streak was kind of working overtime for them to the point where that 2024 MLS Cup appearance even kind of felt, I would say, fluky. I would say like they were not the strongest team in the East by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, that was
year.
why I was so disappointed that FC Cincinnati was ousted in the first round that year, because then you saw Miami go out early, and then it seemed like Red Bulls gets through, it's like, man.
In a
if
Ricky
FC
Puig-less LA Galaxy.
Yeah,
like,
if FC Cincinnati could have gotten through, you just never know. That's really sad.
So they're a project, and that's what makes them kind of dangerous. They have young players. US YNT watchers are familiar with Julian Hall by now, but Audrey Mehmeti, he's a 16-year-old. He's their holding midfielder now, and he's looked really good. But he's also kind of gotten smoked. Like, I watched him like in the Toronto game, and like it's hard to ask a kid going through puberty, you know what I mean, to like be ready for like these full-grown adults. But like it's been respectable, but that's what makes them dangerous. They're benefiting from this break just as much as FC Cincinnati is, and unfortunately, just with the way FCC's come out of the gate, I think this game is more interesting than it should be, and kind of another trap game for them.
Yeah, but I am hearing a lot of positive things on the FC Cincinnati side, just over the international break. Obviously, it was a lot of guys missing. It was 9 of them that were out, and then, Roman was hurt. Obi was dealing with an injury, and who else? I'm trying to think.
Did you hear anything about Miles?
Oh, well, Miles was still, he injured his groin with the U.S. national team in training there. He hasn't been back yet. He stayed down in Atlanta. So we'll hear more from Pat Noonan tomorrow on that. But so it was kind of light in training, but I think just in passing with some of the staff, like it seemed like they felt like it was actually pretty productive because they were able to work on things with smaller sides. And the players, like we had a mixed zone today and got to talk with a couple guys. I talked with Evander last week, so I'll have some more on that coming up soon. But they all seemed like they felt like that win against Montreal, it was a relief. And then now they have this time to kind of recover. They all felt, I just think, kind of beaten down a little bit by the struggles of the early season and just the travel. And so I think they all felt like this break was going to help them kind of reset. And yeah, we'll see how it goes at Red Bulls. Like I said, you never know with them, but
yeah, and that just sets the stage, and we appreciate you guys all being here. So let's open it up if you guys have thoughts on this, because there's just so many ways I think about it. Like the monthly expectations. They come back at Red Bull, at Toronto, which I think for FC Cincinnati, they got a point to prove in that game, just with the reverse fixture. Midweek in New York City FC, which has been their boogeyman team for several years, and then they play Red Bulls again. And then, God, they play so many games. Then they're at Chicago, which is a team I think underperforming. Like, I think Chicago is going to be in contention to be hosting playoff games like at the end of the year. They've had a couple of the Columbus games that I'm remembering. Like they had a 0-0 draw there that they deserved 3 points in, and they might be a little bit better in their standings position. But does anybody have a hot take? What does this month mean? Is this going to be a huge month? I don't know. Great. Yeah.
Is Pat doing a good job? I guess I don't know how to assess.
So that was the question we were definitely ready for. Is Laurel, you take that one first. Is Pat Noonan doing a good job, if anybody didn't hear the question?
I think it's still early to judge that. Like, I think they did put a lot into the Champions Cup basket, and then the fact that they had the 3-goal lead and blew it is really disappointing. But I think he's also dealing with just this refresh that we heard about. Like, okay, they're going to be more attack-oriented, but they're going to make Miles a DP, and they can't bring Brenner back. So they bring Tom Barlow in, who actually I think has been performing more. I think he's been better than expected, but he's known for his pressing and his defense more than scoring goals, and that's the kind of forward you're bringing in to replace Brenner. You bring back Ayoub Jabari, who also isn't known to score goals, but the hope is that he can be a hold-up player and open things up for Kevin Denke and maybe the wing backs coming up. So I think from what I see, like I am constantly seeing Pat Noonan like pointing up the field, and the players are still going backward with the ball. So I don't know if it's like people have asked me, like, is it a tactics? Is it personnel? Like, is it like what's going wrong? I think it's just kind of a mix of things right now where the players are so used to doing it the old way of going backward, because it is a lot of the same guys, other than Tom coming in, and it's pretty much the same guys as last year. So it's like, is it just like they're having trouble breaking out of that system? And I think this break actually was really good for them. Obviously, they worked on it in preseason, and I think that's what's really disappointing, is because we kept hearing, like, we're returning all these guys, we have a full preseason to work on things, so everyone expected it to look a lot better coming out of the gate. I just think the personnel didn't match what they said they were going to do, and I think that that's something that they're still dealing with, and that's probably a little disappointing that they didn't make any ads at the end of the window. But typically Chris Albright has found a free agent that could come in, like Kai Kamara. I know he didn't end up scoring goals last year, but the hope was he would. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. And then the summer window is also, a time that they can improve the roster. But so maybe they do find, a diamond in the rough that's out there and can still join the team as a free agent and make a difference. But I think they're definitely evaluating and trying to see, like, what do we need? And the hope is, like, they get more out of the wing backs. Ender, I think, has looked great. Like, I think he's stepping up his game, and that's going to make a difference. I think Brian Ramirez has kind of been a mixed bag so far, but I think he has potential. So he's the one we left off our list. He was with Ecuador. We didn't mention that one. So sorry about that. So he's, I don't know if he's going to come back tired or what, but I think that there's still potential. I don't think, and other people that I've talked to have said, like, Pat Noonan didn't just forget how to coach all of a sudden. So, I mean, you look at, like, 2022 was mostly the same roster that they had in 2021 and won a wooden spoon. So I don't think that it's, like, all on Pat. I think he does need to figure out, okay, how am I going to get more out of these guys? I think it's encouraging that Kevin Denke is scoring goals early. Him and Evander, that's the other thing. We haven't really seen a lot of Evander and Denke together this year. So I'm still holding out judgment, but I know that's everyone's question is, like, and just, I'm rambling here, but it's a long answer because, I mean, the club, though, like, we've said it, like, the club isn't gonna make a quick reaction to 6 games or 5 league games when they know they've had 4 years of just stability and consistent results, and now they're just trying to figure out how to make it look pretty.
The only thing I would add to that is if he was doing a bad job, I don't think that Montreal game, like, I don't think they rescue a win there. I think, like, the players do quit, like, you see less emotion. Like, I don't think that happens, and you asked a very brave question to Pat, like, acknowledging, because it is a topic, and the thing is, we're going to have to continue talking about it. Like, I don't think the temperature of his chair is super hot, but he's under scrutiny for sure, and he's going to remain under scrutiny. You asked him if he felt like he lost the fan base. For anybody who didn't hear the answer to that, what did you take from that?
Yeah, I did feel a little bad so I put out that question.
It was a scorcher.
I asked 2 parts to my question. I was on Zoom, so they were in Mexico after the Tigres game, and I saw the fan reaction to that loss. I was like, I have to ask, because it seems like he's lost the fan base, and I wanted to hear what he was going to say. And so I asked him if he had lost the fan base, and then I said, and what would you say to those that want to know if you've taken them as far as if this is as good as it gets? And he did not hear the second part of my question. It is on the press conference if you watch it, but I guess the sound system there, like, he did not hear that part. So he repeated what he heard because he knew I said something else. He was like, have I lost the fan base? And then that part of the quote ended up, like, all over everywhere, and that was a little, I felt a little,
Yeah, and he can lose the fan base.
It was a little out of context.
He can lose the fan base and win them back, but when you lose the locker room, I don't think you get it back, and I just don't think it's quite there yet. But there's other people I talk to that just feel like they're delaying the inevitable, and nothing lasts forever. Everybody's got a time limit. I think you're looking at a lot more years with him still, though. Like,
But
even if you're not.
I think his answer though, like to expand on, like
Yeah.
after he said, "Have I lost the fan base?" He said what you would want him to say, like, "This isn't good enough." Like, we know that nobody should be happy. Like, he was not happy. And you can tell that in, what game was it? The press conference was like 2 minutes. That would have
Revs.
been, yeah. No, it was a home game. Toronto, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That one was like, I've never seen him maybe one other time he's really cut a press conference short, but there was like a tiny pause between questions. I was like trying to grab the mic to ask another question, and he left. And it was like 2 or 3 minute press conference. I mean, it bothers him. Like, he knows this isn't good enough. He does know that there's pressure to win. Like, he heard it last year when they didn't win trophies. Like, that was the expectation, that they were going to win trophies. The club constantly said, we spent all this money on Kevin Dinke and Evander, we're going to win trophies, and then they didn't. So the pressure's on, and he knows it. And even if the club isn't like, yeah, we're going to give them more than 5 league games, they are using all of this as evaluation. So, like, if you are on that Noonan outside, like, he does still have to prove that he can turn this around. They're giving him and Chris Albright time to turn around because of what they've done up to this point. Does that? What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what do you think? Here, let me give you the microphone.
I think it's all, between the eyes. So, like, I just, being a coach, I think you got to be a part psychiatrist, and I just don't know if he can get into the players' heads and unlock. And that goes for not just this season, but, when you lose so many clutch games, I just wish he would just figure out what's going on up here, I think we have talent. And
the big games is the question that I think he has not proven. Like, they have not won. They beat Columbus Crew. He does deserve credit for beating the rival, even if it was the first round. Like, they laid an egg up in Columbus. That was terrible, 4-0, and I don't know what that was, but
It's losing the tight games. Like, their brand is winning these games 1-0, 2-1, and like just losing winnable games, I think, is what's got everybody so bad. 'Cause they've left 9 points on the table already.
Yeah.
They missed the Supporter Shield by 1 point last year.
But then this is also a club, though, that had 3 wooden spoons and went through coaches. Yeah. Even going back to USL, it was John Harkes, and then they went to Alan Koch, and they did pull the rug on him pretty quickly in MLS, but he had lost the locker room. Like, when you say you don't know if he can, get guys to turn it on, like, to me, like, you took a team that won nothing and won very few games in 2021, and I don't remember what the losing streak was at the end of the year. It was like 14 games or something. He took that same team mostly. They did add a couple key pieces, but he took that team and did, like, he turned it, like, Brenner, like, he got something out of Brenner. Like, he had to figure it out. It was a rough start with him and Brenner. Brenner didn't want to be there, like, at the start of the year. And Pat did figure it out with him, and Brenner ended up scoring 18 goals. So I do think that he does know how, like, he's kind of a player's coach, like, and the fact that the player, like, when I talk to the players, I've asked several, like, it seems like you guys are still behind, and, like, they're really quick to say, like, yeah, we still believe in what we're doing here. And so I think that part, I think it's just trying to get it in those big games, those big moments. And yeah, I don't know what the answer is for that.
That's the thing, yeah. It's just going to be a topic until he answers your questions, answers everybody's questions, and, a 5-game winning streak suddenly becomes undeniable. Everybody's going to feel silly. I've said it a million times, like, the way that the Seattle Sounders started the season last year. I think they won 1 of their first 7. People were calling for Brian Schmetzer's head. Then they beat Messi's Miami in League's Cup final, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want the club keeping receipts on that. Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to become a Noonan hater, you're going to have to leave space for him to win you over. But he has lost a lot of fans, and I think that people have just drawn their side of the fence. So Good question. Thank you. We've got other stuff that we want to open it up to you guys for, but does anybody have anything that they want to talk about before we just force you to do it?
Without Miles on Saturday, who do you expect to see? Haglund, the incredible Alvas Powell,
Yeah, so Miles, he's hurt, but he's also suspended. So I think that's another reason he's probably not rushing back, because he's suspended for this game with his red card in the Montreal game. I was like trying to think what it was. Yeah, so I do think, I do have a story coming up on Matt Miazga. I'm almost done with it. I was going to try to publish it today. Talking with him, like, I think he's getting close to being able to play. I don't know if it's 90 minutes, but he's getting closer. Like, he's feeling better physically. So I'm guessing he probably starts this game. And then I would guess probably Nick Haglund. And I don't know that if it's going to be Alvas or like teenage coming back, the travel, you just don't know. It could be, I mean, Gilberto's been here. Like, I know, you know, he struggled a little bit in that Tigres series and has had some rough moments, but I think they've also seen some things they like. So I could see this being a game that, you know, he's been here the last, you know, week and a half when other guys weren't. They've been able to work on some things, so I could see him maybe starting in that back three.
They've been using their call-ups on Andre Chirilla as well. I think he's probably more of a supplemental piece in this.
He's out of call-ups, though, so they would have to sign.
And I think they're going to.
Yeah, he is on a homegrown deal. It was like baked into his FC Cincinnati 2 deal. So that's supposed to kick in 2027. But from everything I've heard, like, the club is interested in maybe pushing that timeline, or they would be open to discussing that. I mean, it'd have to be a conversation with his agent and everything. And
they wouldn't have burned through all their freebies that quickly if they
Yeah.
didn't have plans to just do it, I think, you know. But asking to start those games, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and talking with Matt Miazga, like, just if we want to talk about Andre a little bit more, Andre is the guy that everyone kind of compares to Matt Miazga. Like, they're very similar, and like, he's got a lot of height. He's still kind of growing into his body, but he's kind of got that edge to him that for a young guy, like, you don't see very often, and that's a good thing to have in your center back. He's vocal, and I think his distribution we saw, like, I mean, the first round
Mixed
of
bag.
Champions Cup, he looked really good, and then you put him in his first MLS game, and it's not as good. So, but I think there's a lot of potential there, but I don't.
And they're so
think,
high on him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of looking at him as more like Leagues Cup time. But
Could be. Sounds by the tone of your question, you prefer to see Alvas Powell. You love the Jamaican Messi? Makes two of us. I know. I love how he's always good for one run, and like he'll put off a shot that just.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do with it once he gets it down there, but
Yeah.
he gets it down there.
Well, I did talk to him today, and he was like, "Why do you want to talk to me? I'm not playing." So he might have just been like, I think he was joking. Like, he's not going to tell me if he's playing or not, but I don't know. Maybe you can read something into that.
Jamaica needed him last night. They
maybe
needed him the
he's-
last two games.
Yeah. Maybe he's trying to throw me off.
Yeah. Well, we've got a lot here that we're curious about what you guys think. I'm just going to take some shots. Who's been your MVP of the early season?
Yeah.
That's what I have, Ender. I think Denke's holding up his end of the bargain, and I think that's been good because it felt for a while that he might not.
Yeah.
But is that MVP or is that just him doing what he does? I think it's Ender though. Like he's been the best surprise.
Yeah, I think people were surprised that he wasn't. Like, they gave the player of the match to Denke because he scored the winning goal, and that was, I mean, they needed that goal so bad. I get it, but I mean, Ender had the goal and assist, and I was surprised that he didn't have the second goal. I thought he was just going to shoot it himself, and instead he lays it off for, was that the Jabari goal? Yeah. I think he's looked really good, so I think I'd probably, I don't know. Denke, you need him to score, and so it's good that he has been But I think Enders kind of stood out a little bit more.
Yeah. Does anybody want to name their all-time FC Cincinnati five-a-side team?
I think
Got a reaction. Think about it.
I think we should give ours, and then
I'll go with like a psychotic one. Up front, GB. Cam, Kubo. Just let him rip up top. I'm not bringing a goalkeeper, so I have 3 defenders who will go nuts. Alvas, Kendall Waston, Yamil Assad.
So mine is like the all-star. I'm sorry,
You're
but
gonna pick a
mine's
good
way
team.
better than yours. No. So I'm going with Brenner up top. I'm going with Lucho. You need creative players. And then I'm going to
So
do...
much Assad slander right there.
I'm doing Yerson Mascara as my center back
Good call.
that can cover a lot of ground. And then Alvaro Barrial. And I was deciding between Santi Arias or Eric, my husband's back there. He thought I needed to put Evander in there, but
Lucho and Evander
Yeah.
together would be insane.
that would be fun. So if I'm going not really worried about having all the positions kind of covered, then yeah, I guess I could throw Evander in there. But that's very,
If you
there's
could
not a
put,
lot of,
if you could put Santi Arias in there, then I'm putting Jaap Stam in there. In five-a-side, he can do it. I think.
sure.
What do we got? Anybody want to go? Classic, good.
I
No,
just went
we
with
nailed
the
it. We did it
best of
perfect.
the supporters shield team.
We'll run a FIFA simulator and see who wins that one. I guess in no.
Is there anyone we're missing? Delridge.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. I need to have him on my podcast.
Forrest Lasso. Corbin Bone on the bench, just round it out with those classic guys.
Someone
like it.
gave you one that was really wild. Do you have
Oh
that
yeah,
one?
yeah, I can pull that up.
He was testing out with some friends, seeing who would be
This
your
is,
five-a-side.
and this was the inspiration from me being nuts there. Oh my God, where is it? Here we go.
Chris Duran wasn't.
So this is interesting. I have an update on it. Oh my God. Okay, this has been described as the perfect all-time FCC five-a-side. Chris Duval,
Oh, Chris.
Florian Velo, Kyle Scott, Kenny Safe, and Franco Kovacevic.
Duval, that was the name. I
America's
was thinking.
sweetheart, Kenny Safe.
Who gets a statue? Who are you giving a statue from FC Cincinnati? Yeah. I was gonna ask. That was gonna be a question. Does Lucho deserve a statue?
Needs some time.
I feel like the fans that were really angry at Lucho after seeing what it's looked like since he left, they're more. Let's bring back Lucho.
I was gonna say Kubo.
Kubo.
And Nick, I think Nick obviously gets one
yeah.
later, so it's
When
it
he's
could
done
take a long
playing in
time.
10 years,
It'll be his
he's
fountain
not ever
pose.
gonna quit.
I do think Kubo though, who has done everything the team has asked him to do across multiple regimes. Yes. Yeah. Now, the question was
Wait, he
who
has
gets
a-
one, but do you think Lucho will ever get one with the way he left? You think they get around to it?
Maybe when Chris leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Kubo still in the area, do you expect at some point to have employment with FCC? Even almost a PR guy?
He's really quiet, so I don't.
Question for the listener was, with Kubo still in town, do you expect him to be involved with the club?
I think right now he's just kind of in because I did an interview with him about he retired because he basically just wanted to stay here and it didn't work out for him to return with FC Cincinnati. Maybe they come in with a really cheap deal that he's willing to take, but I get the impression he's just kind of enjoying the city he goes to games as a fan now. If you're not following him and his dog on Instagram, go find Yuya and Bo. It's amazing content because like he was the quietest player. We never heard much of his personal life, and now he's like opening us up to his whole life with his dog. It's awesome. But I don't know. I don't know what role I could see him. He's just so quiet. I can't see him like coaching. Like I don't know. It would have to be something tailored. I mean, I guess he's the Swiss Army knife. He should be able to do a lot of different things off the field too.
He's been good at everything, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that they love. I mean, everyone loves Kubo. So if there was a way to bring him back, I mean, the club has. I will give like the club does deserve a lot of credit for how they've been able to bring players back and become involved in the organization. Like that says a lot that players want to come back and work for them and represent the club still. So, well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll ask around about that.
Yeah. And then we did have some write-in questions. Do you think, I'm just going to ask you, I'm going to be the listener, you're going to be the info here.
He said we can give his name. So there was a fan that couldn't come today, and he was like, can I send, like, he was hoping it would be on, like, YouTube Live and could do, like, a chat
next
function.
time.
So we'll try that next time, maybe.
So this is from Jim Gegner.
Yes.
Do you think, based on the front office approach this season, that there might have been a little bit of expectation, production, and continuity from the previous year due to the limited number of changes made? If not, where do you stand when it comes to the determination that the roster was complete and competitive enough to start the season?
Yeah, I mean,
Scorcher.
I think I
Damn.
kind of got into that a little bit. I mean, I do think that the expectations were higher because it was a big theme of the offseason was they're returning so many of these guys. They had a huge summer window last year, and now all those guys get a preseason. So, like, Ender, I do think we are seeing, like, the best of Ender now. Sammy Geedy's got to cut down on the turnovers. But so I think that did kind of raise the expectations, and that's again why it's so disappointing the start of the season, especially when you look at the competition it was supposed to be a slow start to the MLS season, and they were supposed to be getting all these points now for when it gets harder. But nobody could have predicted a 6-1 loss to New England, yeah, all that. So I think that. I'm trying to read the question again because that was a long one.
I think, they buried the lead there. Like, do you think this roster was complete and competitive enough to start the year? Like, that's
well.
You can tell like where they think by the way they asked that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back to, like, I still think the roster at the end of last year was stronger than the starting 11 at the end of last year, which included Brenner, and I would include Luca Orejano and Lucas Engel because they were starters when they were all healthy. So they lost those three guys and really replaced one of them with Brian Ramirez. So I don't think that the roster, like the starting lineup, was complete necessarily. Like I still felt like maybe they would sign, because I think they can turn Gilberto Flores. He's on a U22 deal, but his transfer fee was so minimal. Like, I don't think that they have to. I think they can overcome that, and he doesn't need to be on that U22 spot that kind of forgives the transfer fee. So I think they could take him off, and so I was thinking a U22 forward would probably be ideal, and maybe that's the plan for the summer. Chris isn't gonna make any. Like, he likes to take his time and be sure about the players he brings, so maybe that's the plan for the summer. But I would say that's really what was missing, was that forward spot. And then, like, that left center back spot, they kind of just, I mean, Teenage Hadebi ended the year last year really strong, so I think there was, this is what we're going to see moving forward. And I mean, I feel like that left center back spot has been kind of hit or miss. So maybe that's something they address in the summer if they don't just decide Andre Chirilla is the solution there.
And I think that explains the risk that they took, but I'm interested what people think before I blurt this out of my mouth. But whatever, I'll blurt it out. Would you guys rather have Miles Robinson or Brenner? if it came down to that, still what? Defense wins championships. Do you think he's worth a DP spot?
I mean, the argument for the DP was they said that was the way of keeping him, and they said like he had all these opportunities in Europe, but I think he really needed to stay here for his U.S. national team. Like, you don't want to go to Europe right before a World Cup and then potentially not get playing time. Like, that has happened way too many times with American players going overseas. They end up on the bench, and this is an important half season for him to get to that World Cup. So
he's been unlucky, but I don't think his stock is rising.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he started off the season really strong, and I mean, I get why you want to keep players like that. You don't want to lose them, so I get that. But it's not common. Like, the most competitive teams aren't. The teams that are winning big things are not doing it with DP center backs for the most part. So it was a risk, and then you give up 14 goals in the last 3 games, and he was on the field for those.
Yeah.
I think that was, yeah. I think that was probably a huge part of it was there was probably, I did get that impression that was, I don't know that for a fact, but it did seem from everyone, like a lot of little hints that were dropped that like that was probably the understanding that if you're going to sign a second deal, it's going to be a DP. Like, because he turned down a DP offer from Atlanta to stay there. So
they had to push a lot of people out too when he left, which was MLS fun. But.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I get why Chris is like, we didn't want to lose him, but you could have kept Brenner.
Defense wins championships. Brenner scores 800 goals on this team, I think.
I will say, you guys got to look at, if you haven't seen Evander's new haircut, I keep confusing, like, he looks like Brenner now. Like, in training, maybe when he's close up, I won't think that, but I'm like, oh, that looks like Brenner. That's not Brenner. They need Brenner.
So, great question, Jim. Very thought-provoking. Got the room talking. Love that. Second question is anonymous. Is there any?
That was also from Jim.
Oh, Jim. Damn.
I did not.
Wish you were here, Jim. Is there any one player that the club has been tinkering with in practice to maybe try out at a different position? If not, is there a position change for a player that you think might be beneficial that they are not exploring?
The only one that I really notice is, like, and I don't think it's really not known, but they've pretty much turned Kenji Mobidem into a wing back. So he's been, like, kind of working on that left. Like, they didn't really have a backup left wing back. So he's kind of become that guy. It's also why they need Kubo. Kubo could fill in all those spots they didn't have a backup for. But I don't think that I've really, and I don't even, like, we normally see warm-ups, but now we do see a little bit more, like, earlier in the week. So trying to think, we haven't had a lot of, like, longer viewing times just because the schedule's been wild. So I might be able to answer that better in a couple weeks.
Keep me honest here. Was there a time in the preseason where they played without Evander and had Obi, Buka, and Guidi on the field at the same time? And to answer his question about that they should be exploring, do you think Dado is a good enough insurance policy for Evander injury? And do you switch that to like that 3-man midfield? And is somebody 10-y enough to make that work?
So I had once asked Noonan if Pavel could be the backup 10, and he was like, no. But I don't think that he was factoring in that and then in preseason they did basically push him up into kind of a 10 role. They actually had, I think Evander was playing as like a second striker. And then they had Pavel and Obi and Guidi in. And I thought, like, it was a preseason game. I didn't get to see it, but I liked that idea because I actually think that Evander, I think he likes to play up higher anyway. You need someone, I think that's where the midfield's kind of struggling right now is like, and, you know, I will say Evander obviously was hurt and had a little slow start to the season. So maybe we should hold judgment on anything we've seen from him so far, but I think they need to get either more out of him in that midfield, and I feel bad because I still compare it to Lucho. Like, he wanted the ball all the time, and that's just not Evander. Like, he wants the ball, but he wants it up higher. And he's just a different player than Lucho, so we should stop doing that comparison. But I kind of like if you have a player like Evander that wants to play up higher more, and maybe at some point if they're not getting the goal, like Tom Barlow, he has scored a couple MLS goals, or I guess one MLS goal, but he scored a couple times in Champions Cup, and I do think that he's looking better than I thought. So we'll see how that pans out. Maybe Jabari, he got his first goal. Maybe that kind of unlocks something for him. But if it's to the point where they're not getting production out of that second forward, maybe they do push Evander up and try, Buka, Gidi, and Obi. I think Obi is the question, just if he can stay healthy at this point, because he's off to the side still this week and dealt with the injuries the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's always somebody that they had to manage, and then that changes your backup situation entirely, right? So.
But they do have options. Brian Anunga can do it defensively. It's just don't give him the ball high up the field when you need to hold the ball at the end of a game, or go give it to Kevin Denke instead of shooting it. If you're not, I'm talking about the Tigres game at the end of that. But I still would like to see more of Steven Jimenez. I think every time he plays,
yeah,
he looks good.
And they had to, well, we won't get into all that, but him and Adamar Chavez, those are first team players now.
I think Chavez still is going to need some time. He was very quickly, he signed a FC Cincinnati 2 deal at the end of last year. It didn't even get announced. And then they turned him into a homegrown this year, mostly because I think he had other options.
So, Tyler, you cover MLS Next Pro a lot, you said. Is there anybody on the 2 team you see that could come up? It seems like we don't get very many players coming up from the 2 team. Honestly, last year I was really excited about Amir Daly, and then he got hurt in the Champions Cup, and then he's not on the team anymore. But when he played for him in the Champions Cup, he looked like he was ready to jump in.
They had a few guys like that. I really liked Salim Adams, and I forget what happened to him. But everybody that has been called up has been one of the higher performers. Remind me of the Liverpool goalkeeper that they just brought in.
Fabian.
I think that's
Mrozek.
his most natural place at this club, and I'm really excited to see what happens there. If he gets 2 games, I'm sure he's not just there to be trading, and that's another topic entirely. But
he basically is. I think he's going to be playing those 2 team games because.
And if he's, it's just such an exciting background to not touch it, right? So at the moment, no, I don't think that they've been that good, but that's not always the recipe for success in Next Pro, because Sammy Castellanos, their new coach, he'll be the first to tell you half of our guys are on international break and half of they're, and I know that they're leaning more into the academy this year, I think I can say that, than they have in years past, and that's one of those things that the more successful teams do. While I'm on that soapbox though, is sometimes those players, making them play the first team system is something that they're not really ready to do, and all these U levels down, because that plan is only as good as your belief in the first team head coach. So you groom these people to play this 3-5-2 and have them ready for next man up, and then let's just say something happens to Noonan, right? Next coach wants to play something wildly different. So I think they keep them sharp and malleable. I guess to the spirit of the question, because I can't name a player right now, to be honest, that I think is going to be the next up. I think you're pushing it with Andre and Adamar. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting 2's year though, because I really like Sammy Castellanos and his philosophies that he's putting in, and it's a lot more consistent with at least what I've gotten to see from elsewhere. So. Of course you can.
Can I jump in real quick and say my thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Because I do think that is the big focus. And Sammy said, I don't want these guys on my team for 3 years. I want them here for 1 year and then ready to go to the first team. And that's why, they're really trying to push those academy guys through, because they just haven't been getting the production out of the academy. And that is something they are fully aware of. So I think this year is going to be a huge test for that, and we might not see it right away. But next year, maybe, and maybe Andre is that first. But go ahead.
Second question builds on that is, what does the club want the two team to be? Does it need to win games, or does it just need to develop players to push them up? Because I hear a lot of people I know that are crying when the two team never wins. It's like, but is that what they're there for? Is it to win, or is it to develop players?
So they'll tell you both. I think privately the emphasis can be one way or the other, because it's so hard to get 11 players just at various stages. Some guys coming down from the first team, he hasn't been training with the two team all week. That's more like that formation-based thing that some clubs do. Cincinnati's one of them. Though I'm looking at their last one. They played a 4-4-2 against Columbus. They lost still, but
They are using less first-team guys, though. Like Dotto, he's not dropping down. Like Kenji, he hasn't even been playing down there. Steven
I can't remember it, no.
Hasn't been as much. So I think that they're purposely trying to use that to no, this isn't as much for the first team to get their minutes. We need to get these players ready for the first team.
And I think what you see, you don't see a 10 get developed in Next Pro. The strikers, the usage has been kind of up and down. It's more those foundational players. So I know I'm getting very far away from emphasis on development or winning. Cincinnati, I think it's purely development right now, and I don't know what they could do, just because this is still a new team. They don't have an academy for 20 years like other teams do. Maybe it gets there. It's fun when you're in the last games of Next Pro, but it's not the mark of this club is successful or not successful, But they kind of have to give you a reason to watch, and when they suck every week, it's not fun, I know.
Well, there's also the idea of developing winners. So you want them to feel that success, but yeah, they're not gonna fire Sammy if they don't win anything, because it's gonna depend on, is he developing these players for the first team, and I think that's the full emphasis. I will say, they have a really incredible academy staff. The guy that's scouting for them, Fawad, is getting some really good players, Jack Mize. I don't know if you guys. There's a bunch of names.
He's still an academy player, right?
Yeah.
They've been playing him a lot.
But he came from, I can't even remember which club.
I don't know.
But yeah, they've gotten a lot of just players that when they were first starting out, they're trying to pull from this region, and it's we need to expand a little bit. And so they've been able to get some guys that were in other systems that, yeah. Yeah. So.
And this is one of those weird weeks too, Next Pro, just these coaches are forced to just kind of do what they have. Next Pro is playing through this international break, and there's GA Cup going on. So your elite youth are gone. You've got these tweeners that you have. Some teams really have to pull from deep places to even field a team. So when it comes the competition, it's a team might take a bad loss. It's not even representative of their campaign at all,
But you can also see, I don't know if you guys have noticed, they've been putting out a ton of academy content lately. They are really trying to pump up the academy. That's a huge focus right now.
Never seem to have done that before, because I know I've always was who's he? When Joey Votto was coming up, I don't really care about the Reds, but I was excited to see him come up because I kept hearing about him. We don't hear about the academy kids now. I've heard of Mize. I think there was another kid they just got from Dallas. I can't remember his name right now. Colt something. I don't remember.
They got the goalkeeper, Connor Dale he's the Miami goalkeeper that they're really excited about.
But they don't really, it doesn't seem to come out there, and you could build up the excitement. Now I know you don't want to overhype a kid and then have him come up and get destroyed, but if you get excitement around the kid, it might help when, get excitement around the team, especially when it's what we're having right now, we're a little down for our standards.
Yeah, I think they're definitely kind of shifting because that was when I would ask, they're well, we don't want to we don't want them to get too confident and then think that they don't need to keep working. And so, but I think there is something to now, we do need to promote these guys.
And that goes GM to GM. I'll say what I can here, but I'll tell you more after of we've wanted to do top 100 prospects in the country, top 5 by age group, whatever. And it's so hard to just get every team with all these different philosophies on board, because they don't want to assign prospect status to a kid who's not even eligible to get paid yet, et cetera, et cetera. they really guard that, but this is entertainment. Like, as you said, like when Ellie was coming up, great. Or like you said, when Joey was coming up, great. Ellie, same thing. I remember when Billy Hamilton couldn't bat yet, but like we were going crazy for him to just base run, you know? I think that level of excitement could be built, and then like knowing once that reputation's out there, this team plays at NKU, you can like develop your relationships, and I see what you see in that, and I want it to happen, but yeah, it's just not quite there. And at least the next pro, this is only the 5th season, so like 5 more years, maybe we do get there. I hope so, you know? We just crossed an hour. I can't believe that, but
Does anyone else have any
Yeah.
questions?
I have a random, very general question, because I don't know a lot about soccer, but I feel like for strength and conditioning, I know we lost someone a few years ago that went overseas or whatever. I see our players when they leave and they go and play in a different country. I feel like those leagues, they drop 20 pounds, they become 0% fat, and they become these machines. Is that something that an MLS thing, or is that a Cincinnati thing, or?
America has way better food.
I mean,
There's Skyline here.
I mean, MLS is different. I mean, it is known to be like more like physical.
That's what people
and
say,
I don't
yes.
know that it actually is, but that's what they say.
It's like Salt Lake is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's.
I think it's like cause some of this stuff gets so specific, like that it'll just be down to that player. Like Brandon leaves here, he goes to Monterey, they want him to lose weight and be more nimble. That just could be one guy's opinion, and that's the person assigned to him. I don't know a ton about that, though.
I mean, FC Cincinnati, they do use tons of data and like metrics, and like I think they're doing that even more so now. Like with Kevin Denke, like they wanted him to be more mobile, so he was working on. I don't even remember what he told me he was working on this offseason to try to be able to move around more. Like they have some guys that are just like really strong, and
they imposed the diet change on him, right? Like he was vegan, now
yeah,
they...
he was, like they suggested that he add, I think he needed like the omega, or like, so he's eating fish now. Like they do track, like here's some things that you could do so that you like, but I think that they liked Kevin because they thought he could kind of hold up play a little bit and be that physical forward. But
Imagine looking at him and telling him what he needs to do for fitness.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think you're right there, but yeah, I think it's probably just. I mean, they're recruiting guys, and they tell them like, this is what we want you to do well, like. So I think it probably is just like, this is what. I mean, if they wanted a player to lose weight, they would tell him, like, you need to lose the weight. They have a dietitian that's really good, or nutritionist, whatever they call her. Like, they track everything. So.
A great question to write in for the Patreon press pass.
Yes. That would be a good one. I could ask Garrison, the guy that's in charge of all their strength and conditioning and everything, so.
This is another general broad question. Why is an FCC in the Open? Because the Leagues Cup shouldn't exist in my opinion. Like, I don't care if they win or lose games. The League Open Cup, that's an actual competition that has, I don't know how many history. Why are we in it?
That one's
Because they qualify for Leagues Cup.
No,
is the
they
short
qualified
answer.
for Champions
Cup.
So the ones that are like Open Cup starts so early that if you're still in Champions Cup, so they basically did it. If you're in Champions Cup, you're not in Open Cup.
I love the spirit of your questions. I just can't say too much because I agree with where you're going with that, though. Yeah.
If they didn't have Leagues Cup, then everyone would be in Open Cup. So, but I can say it.
You can say it, yeah.
Leagues Cup, yeah.
And
It's
like,
a
honestly,
made-up
that feels like the competition they could win right now, you know? Like, that feels like the one competition where, like, you would look at Cincinnati as like, yeah, if Nashville could do it last year, Cincinnati could do it this year. let the teams who like are more ready to like grow up. You go slay that CONCACAF dragon. That's not Cincinnati's job right now, you know?
Well, that was one of our questions. We were going to ask, what competition is, I think the answer is MLS Cup is the most important competition. Everyone wants that crest, or the star above the crest. But I think the Leagues Cup is they should go for it in Leagues Cup. I think it's probably the easiest one to win from here on out, and they would have a trophy from it, even if it's a tournament that nobody cares about. It would be a trophy. I think Pat Noonan should put all his eggs in that bag.
People were complaining about, I know we got smoked in New England, but understanding the philosophy of, hey, we're going to Seagerstown, the result didn't work out. But, the Champions Cup is worth so much money, and I know I was on another podcast, and I was explaining to one of our co-hosts why, the Champions Cup, MLS has done this to themselves in the regular season. Who cares? Just get to the playoffs and then you worry about it. So, of course, Champions Cup's more important right then. Now, and I know, Laurel, I've heard you say that people don't understand how important Champions Cup is, but you win that, you're getting $15 million in winnings, which I think for winning MLS Cup, you get, $500,000 or something? It's nothing.
Nothing in comparison. And you get your Club World Cup shot, too.
That's the highest level of competition. So what do you guys think? Do you think they were right to play a weaker lineup against New England? I know, not knowing what happened with Tigres, right? Obviously after the Tigres result, no, it wasn't right. But going into it, you can understand their philosophy, right?
Yeah, I saw the vision. They're just not deep enough to do it. That's kind of what it came down to for me. But I didn't disagree with the decision.
Yeah, I think that whatever is right in front of Pat Noonan, the players do care. They really do care about Champions Cup because, it's Champions League we hear about in Europe. This is their Champions League, and it does matter to them. So it's the first trophy on the table for them, and so yeah, they wanted to go for it. And yeah, I wouldn't have predicted that they would blow a 3-0 lead at Tigres. So I thought it was perfectly understandable, and if they were sacrificing some points, there was some concern that, because again, those were the easier games. They were supposed to be deep enough to handle those while balancing lineups and 2 different competitions. But I completely understood when they put their best players in those Champions Cup games. But I did go into the season feeling like it was a deeper team, and I think there's just some key spots where they're not deep enough, and that's what we're seeing, the forward and then center back.
I have nothing to add. Yeah. All right, have we done it?
Do you guys have anything else that you want us to address on the mics? And
we got something that'll be fun. We'll just see if you guys will play along with it. But for the sake of the episode, you keep recording, but this might be where we say thank you and sign off if this next part doesn't go well.
I have gift cards.
Yeah.
If you participate.
So yeah, for the listener, we wish you were here. To everybody here, thank you guys so much. This has been our first live show, and so happy you guys were able to come.